The Zarian princess silently watches outside the small window, as her ship slowly descends towards the dark half of the barren and hostile planet. Despite her entourage's best efforts, she can't even force a smile on her face as the constant reminder of her mission keeps disrupting all her thoughts. Your Highness, we are about to land. Be at ease. I'm sure everything will go smoothly. The young heir remains in total silence during the landing, and does not speak a word as they disembark. Once off the ship to greet them is a cold and loud wind that howls and screams as it runs through rocky canyons and the dried rivers. As the inhabitants of Zaro are deeply bound to nature, the princess tries to find comfort in the primitive wilderness that seemingly permeates this planet. As she tries to connect with the living essence of this world, she is taken aback as nothing replies to her calls. As if this world was truly dead, without a soul, hollow. Your Highness, please let's keep moving. This freezing breeze will only be of harm to you. The humans are waiting for us underground. Before going through the blast doors that led inside, the princess looks back one more time at the towering and enigmatic formations that adorn this planet's surface. As darkness and an eerie fog surrounds them, these distant shapes are somewhat obscured and hidden under a veil of uncertainty that morphs and distorts their very appearance. Walking down the corridors, the Zarian delegation feels an undefinable sense of unexpected unease. Usually, the closer they get to a planet's core, the more they resonate with its wavelengths, but not this time. This time they can only feel something akin to a constant heartbeat. A very regular beat, too regular perhaps, almost mechanical in its precision. Lost in her thoughts, she does not even realize that they are now standing before the governor's office. Recollecting herself, she pushes open the door and makes her grand entrance, so to speak. Ah, the Zarian envoy. What a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to Boggs. Loudly exclaimed a short and fat man, as he inelegantly hops off his chair and comes forward with spread arms. Vigorously shaking the princess's hand, he leans forward to kiss the graceful alien once on each cheek. My goodness, you are even more beautiful in person. Please take a seat. Do you fancy something? I made sure to procure some treats from your world to make you feel more at ease, he says, as he gives a quick gesture to his assistant. I'm sorry if the quality may be subpar to what you are used to, but as you will certainly understand, it's not that easy to get a hold of some of these luxuries, especially in these difficult times. As he finishes talking, numerous waiters dressed in adapted traditional Zarian clothes gracefully make their way in the office, serving the guests with numerous expensive and elaborate servings and drinks distinctive of their culture. If this was not enough to impress the foreign delegation, they are extremely delighted to see that the whole room has been redecorated with painstaking accuracy in the same style that characterizes the royal palace. After some proper presentations and courtesy small talks, the mood changes as everyone shifts to business mode. Mr. Borplenty, thank you very much for having us here, and please extend our gratitude to the Terran government for providing much-needed help in this moment of need. Oh my, please, Your Highness, there is no need for you to bow down like that. We are here to talk about business, aren't we? Businessmen don't lower their heads to one another, says the Witchy Human, with a bright smile on his face. Thank you again. Since time is not on our side, we would like to immediately start production. Sure, but before we turn on the conveyor belts, we just need to verify the order. Sounds good? Yes, I understand, says the princess a bit hesitant. The war against the Scythorns has been raging fiercer and longer than anyone expected. Because of this, equipment stocks are now running dangerously low, and military experts predict an imminent collapse of the front line if this issue is not addressed. Especially because the Scythorns seem to pull out hardware out of thin air, and are about to start a massive offensive on the whole contact line. Even if caught off guard, the Zarians obviously did not sit still, and have already started converting much of their civilian industries for wartime production, but that will obviously take some time. In the meanwhile, they looked far and wide for someone willing to fulfill their industrial needs, eventually stumbling upon the humans, who were the only ones to accept their almost insane request. We already sent you the blueprints for all the equipment we need. Have you taken a look at it? Oh yes, of course. We have put the unused production lines on standby. Luckily, the equipment presented isn't too complex to manufacture, and will be easy to mass produce once we iron out the logistics. This statement leaves the alien guests a bit skeptical. The files that have been sent are blueprints of their most advanced and costly equipment. A bit worried and doubtful, the princess raises her concerns. Sorry for sounding ungrateful, but will you be able to produce enough equipment? The very fate of the war depends on it. The human simply looks up to the Zarian noblewoman, letting out a faint laugh, as he is unable to hide the sinister grin under his mustache. I somewhat expected this turn of events. Please follow me. I will show you around. As they start walking seemingly aimlessly, in the industrial labyrinth of corridors, the Master of Industry keeps talking. So, Your Highness, what numbers are we talking about? On a monthly basis, how much equipment would you like to receive? Well, assistant, please, she says, as she turns towards the Zarian male standing next to her. Hearing the commands, he takes out a tablet and starts browsing the walls of text. In terms of small arms, we would need at least 50,000 assault rifles, 10,000 machine guns, and 8,000 sidearms. Taking into account all models, the total would be around 100,000 infantry weapons on a monthly basis. Mumbles Mr. Boxplenty, clearly a bit surprised. We also need 400 starfighters, 950 starcrafts of various types, and over 5,000 armored land vehicles each standard month. Alright. And don't forget about the ammunition. We request 1 million energy cells from the Mark 92 family of small arms, plus artillery rounds, rockets, missiles, and so on. Ah. Is this the number you need? Yes. Are you sure you can fulfill these orders? We might be in a tight spot, but remember, we still have a lot of influence. If you fail to satisfy our order, we will be sure to stain your name with infamy. The human can be seen scratching his head, a bit embarrassed admittedly. They keep walking, as they close into the VIP observation room. How to say this? We expected an order 10 times bigger. What? Is all the alien entourage manages to utter, before they are politely interrupted. Sorry, there must have been some miscommunication on our part. We even reserved half of the planet for you, but I guess we will assign you just a sector or two. Unless you want to make a bigger order, that is, replies the businessman, with a wicked smile not even the devil would love. What do you mean half of the planet? Utters the princess, far from quick with her head. Bo has been property of my family for generations now. We turned it into an industry planet from which we run our activities. We often work with the government, and since you were in need, they asked us if we could do something about it, and I said, of course, for an adequate price. The whole planet? That's why the planet's voice is overwhelmed by the sound of that mechanical beating. You have good hearing, Your Highness. What you probably heard was the spinning Dyson sphere serving as the core. That's where we get power for our machines. As we started to strip mine the planet's crust, extreme heat started to become a problem, as it was melting chips and hardware, so we decided to get rid of the core. Hearing and trying to understand what those humans did to an entire world in the name of profit made the princess deeply uneasy. As she loses strength in her legs, many of her followers rush to her side to sustain her. Oh, my dear. Are you unwell? If you want, we can take a rest, but I just wanted to tell you our destination is right around the corner. Gathering all the remaining energy left in her frail body, she persisted, and finally sat down on a comfy chair situated in an expansive and imposing room. As she is still catching her breath, at the human's command, an entire wall seemingly starts to be swollen by the floor, revealing a massive window looking outside from a considerable height. It is clear that the sun is about to rise as a chilling red albedo is slowly filling the desolate sky around them, starting from the distant horizon. "Take a good look, Your Highness. Our production lines," says Mr. Beauplenty, pressing a big, bright red button in the middle of the room. Still dazed and confused, the Zarian's pupils widen, as much as her physiology allows them to, witnessing the horrors or wonders of humanity. One after the other, some of those strange structures that are concealed by the fog seemingly come alive, as on the tip of each of them a bright flame is born and starts defiantly dancing with bright colours. From other such enigmatic constructions, wider compared to the first, large columns of dense grey smoke begin to rise from their mouths, while others start to move in mechanical patterns, picking up enormous objects from the ground. With dread, the princess witnesses an infinite number of artificial lights switching on, lighting up the surface like the stars adorn the night sky. As disgust almost takes hold of her heart, the red sun slowly but inevitably imposes himself over the sea of industries, revealing the true colours of the landscape. A limited palette containing only shades of grey and some red, oceans of steel and alloys, massive complexes the size of cities, all stretching their fingers made of cement, exhaling a thick black smoke towards the sky. An entire planet turned into a machine, half of which has been reserved just for them. Lost in her thoughts, the princess wonders what other crimes against nature these humans are capable of. Oh, look! Those cargo ships are about to take off from the spaceport. One of them is already loaded with your precious goods. If you agree with the terms and conditions and pay the commission fee, fleets of those haulers will start travelling back and forth from here to your home system, starting tomorrow. Slowly and steadily, a couple of ships lift off the ground, far off in the distance. And what immense size those are! True behemoths of space, larger by a factor of at least 10 to most warships. They are so massive that time itself seems to be slowing down, out of respect just for them. Resigned, the Zarian princess takes out her royal pen. "Fine. We will rent half of the planet. Where do I sign?" "Here, Your Highness. I'm sure you won't have any regrets. Let's agree on some numbers first." Smiling, and waving goodbye to the Royal Zarian ship taking off, the human takes a big breath and prepares himself for the next business meeting. Just a few minutes after, a new ship approaches the landing pad. As some aliens slowly descend from the ramp, the ruthless human hurries to greet them. "Ah, my favourite customers! How have you been? Speaking of which, have you seen the cargo ships taking off? Those are headed straight for your homeworld." "Hello, Mr. Beauplenty. Yes, we did. We are most pleased with your work. The equipment you sent us has been most valuable for our efforts. We hope you could increase the production by 10% starting from the next month. Would it be possible? Of course we will pay." "Certainly, my dear customers. It's always a pleasure to do business with you. Please tell your ambassador you are amongst our best clients. Yes, tell him that the Siphons are probably our best trade partners."